Hello crochet friends. In today's project I am using Yarn Bee yarn, Soft Secret. The color is chili red and it's a number 4 medium weight. Now this particular yarn is a little bit soft, but it will absolutely hold its shape perfectly for this project, and it's got a tiny little bit of a sheen, so it looks much nicer than a flat type of yarn. Now for this project we will also need the measuring tape, and the hook will be an H or a 5mm. Now this home decor project is, technically I guess it would be called a table runner, but I've designed this specifically for the bedroom. So this will go on top of the dresser and the nightstand. So there is a longer version and a shorter version. So for the longer version, it will measure tip to tip 85 inches, and that's not counting the tassels. And then the smaller one will measure 42 inches tip to tip, not counting the tassels. Now, it is easily customizable. So the body will be 72 inches long, so that's not counting the triangle points at the end. 72 inches for the body for the long one, so that you can shorten or lengthen as you need. The shorter one, the body, is 29 inches, and again you can customize that shorter or longer as you need. The width for both is 14 inches, and that should pretty much fit almost any nightstand and dresser. And the tassels is what really sets this off. The tassels are going to be substantial, nice and hefty. That's what makes this cool. If you use, so don't skimp on the tassels. Make them nice and big. Okay, so let's get started. Right, we are going to start with the triangle, and we will chain 2, and then enter a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. 1 single crochet, chain 1, turn. Now we're going to enter 2 single crochets into that one that you just created. Chain 1 and turn. Now we will enter 2 single crochets in each single crochet below. This is where we are making our increases on each side. So now we're at 4, chain 1, turn, enter 2 single crochets in the first space, 1 in the next, 1 single crochet in the next, and then 2 in the last. So you have to really squeeze it in there. Now we're at 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for each row, we are increasing by 2, 1 on each end. There's 1, 2, and then a single until you get to the last. In the last, you enter 2. So now we should be at 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you will chain 1, turn. You will repeat that row until you reach 50 stitches, 50 single crochets. Okay, so again, you are increasing on each end. So you enter 2 single crochets on each end and 1 in each of the remaining stitches until you get to the end, 2 at the end. Okay, so you will be going 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 until you get to 50 stitches. Okay, we have completed the 50 single crochets, and the 50th would have been on row 25. So now we are going to start the body on row 26. And I want to remind you all, please watch the video all the way through before you start. This way, if I offer any suggestions or tips along the way, you'll catch them that you might be able to use at the beginning of the project. So I actually want to do that right now. Now, when you are entering your last 2 single crochets in the end, make sure you're catching that under the 2 strands that form the turning chain. Okay, so you're entering your 2 single crochets under there. Now, for the rest of this, or for the body of this project, I should say, what we are going to do is stay at the count of 50 single crochets. So now all we need to do is enter 1 single crochet in each space. 1 all the way to the end, chain 1 turn, 1 again in each space. So you're going to stay at 50. And for the nightstand, which is what we're working on here, you will not be counting rows. So we only counted the rows for the triangle. Then for the body, what you want to do is use a measurement. It's going to be a lot easier than tedious counting. Starting here, work for 29 inches in the 50 single crochets. And then we'll come back and we will do the other triangle. And that time, instead of increasing, we're decreasing. Now, if you're thinking that these edges look kind of messy and raw, don't worry about it. We are going to add a really nice border, using what is called either a crab stitch or a reverse single crochet. All right, so now that we have done the 29 inches in the 50 single crochets, we are going to start the other triangle with decreases. Now, this is the pattern that you are using for both the dresser and the nightstand. So the only difference is the length. Okay, so when you go to do the dresser, the body will be 72 inches long rather than 29. Otherwise, everything is the same. And again, use whatever measurement you need to fit your particular tabletop or dresser top. All right, so now to decrease. So on that last row of the 50, chain 1 turn. And now we are going to skip that first space where you would normally be entering your single. Skip that, enter a single in the next, and a single in each across until you get to the last 2. And then we will decrease again. So of course, rather than increasing 2 per row, we are decreasing 2 per row, 1 on each end. Okay, so here we are at the last 2 single crochets for that row. So now we're going to decrease by starting your single in the next space, 2 loops on the hook, start another single in the last space, 3 loops on the hook. Now pull through all 3. And you've just made your decrease. Chain 1, turn, and we will repeat. Okay, so again, you're going to skip that first space. Start in the next, single in each until you get to the end, and then decrease over the last two. Okay, so you're decreasing in the last two, and now you're at 46. So just keep doing that until you end up with one. And you'll have your perfect triangle matching the opposite side. Chain one turn, skip the first space, start in the next. You can see the decrease forming already. Okay, now let me show you how we will finish this off. One, and then decrease over the next one for two. So there's two. Chain one. Now you have been chaining one and turning at the end of each row. I'm not sure if I made that clear. Okay, so chain one, turn, and now we'll enter our last one. We're skipping the first, entering into that last single crochet there for one. The last one. Chain one. Okay, so now you've got your second triangle, and if you fold it over, it will match the first one perfectly. Now we're going to do the border with the crab stitch, or it's also called the reverse single crochet. It's a really nice border. I use it a lot. Okay, now it takes a little bit of getting used to. Okay, so you did your chain one. Now instead of going this way like we normally would, we're going backwards. We're going to be working this way. So we're working single crochets, but we're going backwards. So it takes a little getting used to. Okay, so enter your hook into the first space, grab your yarn, pull it through, make your single crochet, and that's it. Now go into the next space, pull through, 2 loops on the hook for your single, pull through, you completed the single. See how you're going backwards over here? Okay, so enter into the next space, pull through for 2 loops on the hook, pull through for the single. And you will do this all the way around. Now it's going to feel a little tedious, but trust me, this is going to finish it off so beautifully. I love this border. You can see how cool it's looking already. Okay, so again, do that all the way around. Okay, I'm about to enter the last reverse single crochet back up to that beginning point. So all you need to do is insert the hook into the first reverse single crochet and do a slip stitch. And that's easier said than done, apparently. All right, okay, that was a little tricky. Just a little. Okay, now chain to lock that last one in. Cut that off with a tail. I like to double knot, so I do another chain. And then I pull it nice and tight It creates a pretty good knot. Okay, now it's time for the tassels. Okay, for this project I'm using a paper bag. It's about 6 inches long. And what you do is just take your yarn and start like that. And then you're going to wind it around a gazillion times because you want this to be nice and thick. Okay, so just keep winding it around and around and around. All right, once you've wound it around, okay, you can just kind of feel it. It should feel nice and thick. Okay, so now what you're going to do is take a length of yarn, grab your hook, slide it under the yarn, bring the yarn, the length of yarn through from underneath, and then slide the yarn up to the top, and then you will tie it as tightly as you can, which is not going to be too easy because it's pretty thick. Okay, so double knot it. Yeah, see, it's too loose. All right, so I'm going to take it off the book anyways, and I'll tighten it up later. Okay, so now what you do is slide it off the book. Take another length of yarn, so you can cut off the piece that was still on the skein. Now take a length of yarn, I'd say about 12 inches long. Lay the tassel on top of the yarn towards the top. I'd say about 1.5 inches from the top. Then you're going to tie this. And once again, you want that nice and tight. I double knot to make it nice and secure. There you go. You can leave these and they will get incorporated into the tassel, the tie. All right, then what you do is cut the loops on the bottom. All right, then what you will do is trim the bottoms so that it's fairly even. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is an art, not a science, as I always say, which is my way of hiding my mistakes. But don't tell anybody. All right, now it's time to attach the tassel. So you want the runner right side facing you. You can tell which is the right side because the border looks much nicer on the right side than the wrong side. Okay, so just grab your hook, insert it under the point. Grab your tassel. You're working with the 2 strands at the top. So just grab one. Pull it through with the hook, flip the tassel out of the way, and now tie those 2 strands So a little suggestion here, if you plan on washing the runner, which I'm sure you will at some point, you don't want to wash the tassel. So when you attach the tassel, attach it in such a way that it's detachable. So the only thing I have come up with for this is like a little bow. And then you can tighten that a little bit. So then you can just undo it with these strings here, with the strands. Now, I don't think that's the best idea. That looks kind of goofy. Okay, so you can hide these under there. There we go. Okay, that'll work. And then, of course, make sure you do that. Attach the other one on the other side. There you go. Gorgeous.